Welcome to Grand Slam Sports. No Jace today. Dylan's here with us. We're excited about that. And Dylan and I were talking about earlier before, obviously all of our NFL football teams sort of in a rut here. Dylan and I were asking Santa right here if we could have another win for Christmas. I don't know if that's going to happen, but we're hoping for the best.
Well, Santa can't even get his football team to win any games, so it's looking like this whole panel will be not going too hot.
Well, let's go to a game that actually was worth watching in Monday Night Football between Famous Jameis and, right now, I think one of the leading candidates for Rookie of the Year, Bo Nix. Charles, what did you see in this game that surprised you especially?
Famous Jameis doing his best Famous Jameis impression, the thing that only he can do of throwing over 400 yards and also throwing touchdowns to both his team and the other team. I love him. He's one of my favorite players. He is one of those players, I saw someone say that I want him to be a quarterback for someone's team, just not mine. And I'm really happy that he is getting to throw absolute darts to both teams.
For sure. I think Jameis puts on a show wherever he goes. He airs it out to whoever he can see. Bo Nix has a very nice team around him. I'll say that much.
Every time he throws the ball, it's like he rolls a D&D die. And you never know what's going to happen.
What are the outcomes?
Especially for this game, I really enjoy watching how Denver plays because it's clearly evident that they trust their rookie quarterback and they trust his decision making.
Yeah.
And it's also difficult for him to really let loose that playbook with him, right?
Yeah.
So it's definitely going to be interesting going forward. But we're going to move on to Thursday Night Football, which was another interesting game. Packers falling to the Lions by a field goal, a controversial fourth down call there by Dan Campbell on the fourth. What do you think of that call, Charles?
Dan Campbell makes plays that not even I would make on Madden. I think that he's just one of those coaches that he's part of the reason why they're so good. But he could also be one of those reasons that they get a downfall. I could see it being in the playoffs against another top team to where he thinks that, hey, no one's going to expect this, but everyone expects it now. Yeah. So they're going to, I could see that being an issue, but it wasn't this time. The Lions remain on top of the North and in dominating fashion.
Always preying on the Packers' downfall as a Bears fan. Why do we have to live in the NFC North with both of these teams and the Vikings being so good? It's not fair.
It just sounds like you're unlucky.
Yeah, we were very unlucky.
Dude, just get Caleb Williams to throw like Jameis Winston, and maybe you guys will have a chance. But the highlights for me in this game, especially as we go down the line, right, is this Lions defense going to be stable, right? They were talking, the announcers last night were saying that, hey, you've got a bunch of filler linebackers in there. You got a bunch of filler cornerback on, right? I mean, I think what is going to be the downfall of the Lions is going to be their defense. I mean, you let Josh Jacobs run 3 touchdowns. I mean, come on.
The only thing stable about the Lions' defense is the braces that they're put in because this team is so hurt that it's just like, can they stay healthy come into playoff time? That'll be the biggest telling point on if this team's actually good.
Dude, did you see last night they blitzed on every third down in the first half?
Yeah.
And Jordan Love couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
Jordan Love couldn't handle it.
It worked.
He just sent the house. Now that's something you would do in Madden.
Yeah.
But we're gonna move on to an unfortunate injury to Trevor Lawrence. Another injury. Before we get to Trevor Lawrence, another injury-prone man, Christian McCaffrey. Now, Christian McCaffrey has been on my fantasy team ever since the start of the year, and he has averaged me a whopping of 7.8 points in the past 12 games.
That's big time.
Big time.
That's big time.
What do you guys think about his season-ending injury? What is the future do you see for him?
There was none this year. I think, honestly, it's kind of a blessing in disguise. I don't think he should have really played too much anyway this year. I think he's still recovering. Right now this season, he's just going to get some time to spend time with his family. The 49ers are not contenders. Heal up, get back. Let Jordan Mason shine because he has been playing pretty solid.
Well, Jordan Mason's on IR now too.
Yeah.
So Isaac
Guerendo.
Isaac Guerendo.
Let Guerendo, yeah. Let the running back room that's doing so good in this team shine and just take a break. Come back next season with a healthy 49ers team that will instantly be contenders again.
How does Brock Purdy look, Dylan, without
Brock Purdy
his weapons?
Is very much struggling.
Oh.
I think the rest of this season is just kind of on coast. And you look toward the 2025 season. You stay patient with Kyle Shanahan. Niners fans are calling for his head. I think you relax. If he gets fired, There's
Oh.
a spot in Chicago for him.
There's
yeah.
also a spot in New York for you.
So
He can go anywhere. Apparently,
think-
Bill Belichick was supposed to go to the Jets. So I mean,
I think you just coast, you wait it out, wait for the 2025 season, and
Right.
you understand that this team is extremely injured right now.
Yeah, of course.
They look like a wounded animal in some parts. I mean, they lost in Buffalo, but
Yeah.
you could barely see your own hands in that Buffalo game. So, I mean, I don't completely blame them. And even with that being said, they were still in the game towards the end. I think right now the 49ers just have to form a different identity, and it's sort of this pass first instead of a run first, especially with all these injuries, and they're struggling to cope with it. And Brock Purdy had a workhorse to lean on, which opened up his pass game because everyone was so scared of McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Kind of easier for him to pick apart in that system. Now he has to actually make plays. They don't look as good as they were. But we're gonna move on.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are going to move on to Dylan's favorite conversation. Word on the street: Zeberflus still has a timeout in his pocket. He can't use it anymore.
He left
doesn't
it
have a
there
job,
with
but
Wherever he goes next, he'll be sure to use that timeout. Trust me.
is he gonna go somewhere? What do you think?
He'll end up being a defensive coach somewhere in the league. He's still a decent defensive guy. You know, the New
Charles
York
has a
Jets
smile.
apparently have an opening.
No, we don't.
He plays a very bland style of defense where if you have good players, you have a good linebacker in the middle who has long arms and can deflect passes and make turnovers, like Darius Leonard in Indianapolis. It can work out,
I would love to play.
but he's not great at managing the game.
I agree.
Yeah, I think that. Let's just say the Bears have had one of those, like, it just feels like everything's against them.
Yeah.
It's like the football gods are just playing jokes on them at
For
this
sure,
point.
for sure.
I thought the Jets season was bad, but I think the Bears would actually hurt more if I was a Bears fan. Because, yes,
Yeah.
the Jets were supposed to be good, but at least we're just getting blown out. Like, you guys are losing in the most heartbreaking ways possible.
It's
A
very
Hail
positive.
Mary, a kick. That's crazy.
It's so tough to lose these super close games where you know if we had a decent coach that installed winning culture and winning football games and learning
that?
how to win as a team, then we would probably be in the playoff hunt right now, if not one of those wild card spots. We've lost so many close games, and it's just tough to see this talent on this team being wasted.
Yeah.
So difficult to see. Well, Bears Nation, happy to tell you, man has packed his bags. He's out of the meeting. So, good news for you. He's left the Zoom meeting.
He has left the Zoom meeting.
Moving on. Now we're going to talk about it. Trevor Lawrence absolutely getting his head rocked on the weekend, getting
Tough
the Tua Tagovailoa treatment out there. Slide, or was it a late hit?
Late hit.
It was a late hit.
It was a late hit.
100%.
Yeah. It was completely. I mean, it was a disgusting hit.
It was
it's
awful.
What I hate to see. It was not a football move.
Yeah.
To me, that's not one of those that are even excusable. And I think that the 3-game suspension was warranted.
And then for him to contest the suspension afterwards is a really weird look.
Yeah, especially after apologizing on Twitter and saying,
Yeah.
I did that, my fault.
And
Like,
then
I mean,
now he's
Well,
posting some
we
weird
have to-
cryptic messages on his social media where he's like, I'm coming back. And it's like, whoa.
Well, at what point does quarterbacks need to accept the possibility of stuff happening? Because we have seen these quarterback runs. We've seen Lamar Jackson run out the pocket and stuff. When do you? Because people do these fake slides and they pop back up. Where's the line? Where is the line between giving a defender 10.10 seconds?
the
to
line
make
needs to be made by the NFL. Fake slides should not be a thing. I saw Mahomes fake out of bounds. That should not be a thing.
No.
Once you give yourself up, you need to give yourself up. It should be a flag if you do not.
100%.
Trevor, he was very clearly sliding. He shouldn't have been in the game in the first place. He was still recovering from his other injury, and now he's out for the season with the shoulder injury.
For sure.
He shouldn't have even played, but that was not Trevor's fault. It was a dirty play. It should be a 3-game suspension, like you said. Move on. That's my person.
Yeah, I agree. As a Bears fan, I've seen Justin Fields take some disgusting hits and not get flags for it. And he's always doing the right thing and sliding and giving himself up. So there definitely needs to be a line drawn in the sand of like, this is what needs to happen. We need to protect these quarterbacks because they bring viewers and they bring good football to the league.
Yeah, of
Who wants to watch Mac Jones play for
That's
the rest of the
dude.
season?
I'm totally fine with that. He's not on my roster anymore.
Exactly.
I got
So-
Drake May. I got my Draco.
Like Charles said, there needs to be a line drawn.
Yeah, agreed.
I think it's also very difficult for defenders sometimes to judge where the person's sliding. The first down marker was right there, and to be honest, I mean, as a defender, you don't want him to get the first down. So I can see where the confusion is. Was it late? Yes. But the NFL needs to figure out
Yeah.
something to where you have to. There's a buffer zone, right?
I think flagging the lates, because like I said, with Mahomes faking out of bounds. I mean, if anyone even hit Mahomes out of bounds, any quarterback, but especially Mahomes at flag, all of them are coming out. It's gonna be laundry all over the field. It's
oh
just,
my gosh.
Yeah, it's a tough spot to be in as a defender to know when to bring your aggressive hostility and when to let them slide.
Agreed.
Moving on. So this is my idea. This is
Oh, here we
added in. I got a high-low going on here.
Oh, man.
I got the players and I got their yards. So I'm going to go through really quickly here. So Charles, Breece Hall, over 58 rushing yards this weekend. What do you got? High or low?
I got him going higher. I think that he's going to be going against a pretty weak Dolphins D-line and with not a lot of throwing on the Jets right now.
Alvin Kamara, over 95 yards or lower 95 yards. Dylan, what do you think?
Total yards or
Yeah,
what?
total. No, running. It's on the ground.
Ooh, I'm gonna go lower on 95 yards. That's a lot of yards to get rushing. That's a lot of yards.
Charles, Saquon Barkley, over 131 yards on Carolina. Higher or lower?
Give me the higher.
Wow.
He's going for the
131
record.
Give me the higher. I'm a betting man. I got Saquon going higher on that.
Brock Bowers, over 76 yards.
The
Dylan.
rookie of the year, the offensive rookie of the year. That's a first-team All-Pro kind of tight end right there. I think he's my bid for offensive rookie of the year. He's going higher than that.
Mike Evans, 65 yards. Lower. Wow,
Ooh,
interesting.
wow.
And then finally, JJ himself, 87 yards higher or lower this weekend? Higher.
Give me the higher on that.
Moving on to our pick six quickly. We have 5 games for you. We couldn't get the last one to work properly, you know. Technology's good when it works, folks. I have San Francisco here in this one.
Me personally, I have San Fran as well. I just think that they're going to come out of this one.
Oh, no.
Give me the Bears.
We can move on.
Bear
we can
down.
move on. Falcons, Vikings,
If it comes up.
if it comes up.
Bears.
Oh, Jets,
Oh,
Dolphins.
no.
Jets, Dolphins. My
Liar.
bad. Oh, well. Rundown fun. Okay. I have the Dolphins here. I think everyone's going to take the Fins. Charles, I'm sorry. but it's- You got to
I'm
do
taking
it.
the Fins.
You got to do
Give
it.
me the Dolphins.
Give me the Dolphins.
Give me the Dolphins.
Next one, I got Vikings here.
Falcons.
Vikings at home.
Vikings at home. Interesting. Next one, we're moving on. Steelers, Browns. This is an interesting one. I got the Steelers here. I think Russell Wilson continues to cook. Mr. Unlimited.
Mr.
It's
Unlimited.
feeling dangerous. Let me take the Browns here. I'm having a little bit of funsies. I think the Browns, Jameis Winston's going to air them out. Hopefully only throw 1 pick six instead of 2, and they're going to take the win.
I got Steelers as well.
Next one, I think it was a clean sweep here. I got Bills.
Bills.
I got Joshy.
Bills.
I got Joshy going on. Rookie report right now for you guys.
Psych.
Ignore it.
That didn't happen. Didn't happen.
Tristan Da Silva, that will be my rookie. I think that he has done a fantastic job. The numbers aren't necessarily amazing. 7.5 points, 10th in the Rookie of the Year ladder, and he's been a 54% shooter on the road on a team that is going negative on the road despite being 10 games over 500. I think that Tristan Da Silva has played his role. He was drafted to a team that needed a veteran-like player despite only being a rookie. He plays like a veteran. He plays like that 3-and-D wing, and he's going to be one of those dark horses in the East with the Magic. I think that he has done a great job fulfilling exactly what he's supposed to in Orlando.
For sure.
Rookies, always development players, always looking to the future. What do you have for yours, Dylan? What do you think?
I have Lad McConkey.
Love that name.
Let's
I
see,
have
let's
Lad
see. Oh,
McConkey.
wow.
Look
at the yards.
look at the yards. Look at the last handful of games. He's projected to be over 1,100 yards on the season. He caught 9 passes on 12 targets in their win
for 117 yards.
for 117 yards against
For a $113.
against a solid Atlanta team who is definitely tailing off towards the end of the year, but a very solid team in Atlanta. Their defense has been looking better as well. Secondary has a lot of really solid players.
People looking at this guy, especially some NFL teams that could have picked him and let him drop. Excellent route runner.
Yes.
Great route. And you could see that. Justin Herbert
Yeah.
loves this guy because,
That's
like
all he
Jamar
has.
Chase, always open.
Always open.
Also helps whenever you have quite literally nothing else. I mean,
That's
their weapons are a bunch of bamboo sticks and then Lad McConkey. So
Well,
it
with
is just-
J.K. Dobbins out, then
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting to watch them with the Chiefs this week.
Yeah, I think with an elevated role heading into the playoffs, I think he is going to shine. I think he's going to be a star in the
yeah,
future.
agreed.
Mine, me being a Pats fan, but I can't get enough of Drake May, and I'll tell you guys why I
can.
can't get enough of Drake May.
Yeah, I've already had enough,
and
actually.
Why he's better than Caleb Williams.
He's not though.
Oh, but his numbers say yes, he is. The only game he has gone under 200 yards was 2 games against Chicago, which was in the bitter cold, and then New York, because New York decided to take him out instead. But I think him going 231 yards and a touchdown, I mean, his collection of touchdowns percentage and how many he actually had in the past 9 games when he actually became a starter is pretty insane. And I think he's up there with Bo Nix. Not saying he's Bo Nix because Bo Nix is doing his thing and the Broncos are winning. And obviously Patriots sputtering to a stop and Charles is eyeing me. But I think all of our teams, all on the struggle bus, hopefully we'll ask something for Christmas. Maybe Travis Hunter. Stay with us with Grand Slam Sports. Soccer will be next. Grand Slam Sports. Everyone took coffee break. I'm here discussing soccer because obviously that's my main sport. And to start off with you guys, I have Manuel Neuer getting a red card in the 28th minute of the Dusko Pokal tournament game against Bayer Leverkusen, and this was huge. This was huge. That puts you down a man for the rest of the match, but also the importance of having that extra man, especially in that midfield area, proved quite difficult for Bayern in their adjustments in the way they play. I'll tell you why that's important is because, they had to bring in their second-string goalkeeper, and that proved kind of costly towards the end. Tell and all the rest of them trying to understand their new roles and positions, especially with that man that's no longer on the pivot on the inside to try and pass that ball. But Tella for Bayer Leverkusen putting away a penalty, unfortunately ending Bayern's run in the Dusko Pokal final. And unfortunately, Harry Kane, another trophy that he might not win. So the Harry Kane curse sort of continues here in Bayern, which unfortunately I am not a fan of, but a lot of people are, including Borussia Dortmund guys. So we're going to move on here to the next topic here. And this is quite controversial. So the Barclays Premier League released these armbands to support gay pride and gay awareness, the LGBT community. And one of the captains on Crystal Palace, he wrote over the armband with the caption, "I love Jesus." He is currently now facing a hefty fine and suspension due to this. And my question to viewers at home is, when does pushing an agenda of any sorts fall on sports? Because unfortunately for him, he was standing up for something that he might have believed in strongly, right? But doesn't believe in something else. And so to the viewers at home, I want you to ask yourself that question, right, of where's the line? Where can people express themselves? Because if he has to wear it, but he doesn't want to, where does that fall in that personal responsibility category of everything? So, interesting topic here on this slide. You can agree or you can disagree, but very interesting topic to go off of. We're going to our next topic of Man City, or as I labeled this this section at least, a lot of questions here. The absence of Rodri, unfortunately, has hindered their back line. His ability to play on the half turn and that pivot is very crucial for their system to work. You're talking about having to move Stones up to CDM. You're having Bernardo Silva, who's that playmaker and that wide winger, to come back and sort of play a more defensive role, and he's more of an attacker. So it's very interesting to watch how Man City sort of elevates their game towards Christmas time and where they stand in the table. And I mean, we're going to see here in a second when we talk about the Champions League, they're sitting in the midsection of the Champions League. Why? Because they can't get it done in that midfield. You cannot move the ball forward if you cannot possess the ball. And I think that's what a lot of people at home don't understand about soccer, is that midfield is so crucial. And without Rodri, they're going to continue to struggle. I mean, there's a string of events and a string of games, right, that have just not gone in their favor to where they need that moment of magic. We've seen Real Madrid, for example, have those moments of Jude Bellingham magic, and they've gotten away with it and they squeaked by. Erling Haaland, for them, has not been as productive as he was last year. And that's something you got to watch out for going into the future, and especially towards Guardiola going towards the tail end of his career at Man City and not knowing if he's going to stay or leave. So a lot of questions for Man City, especially if they can get, let's say, another, like a Zubamendi from Real Sociedad, or someone else to fill that CDM spot that's capable of playing like Rodri. Very interested to see what they do with that. But we're going to move on to the Champions League table because I just want to go over it right quick. Liverpool sit at the top with 5 games played, 4 games won. Barcelona surprisingly sits at number 3, and unfortunately, my Bayern sit at 13th. You know what team we do not see on here a lot, or at least towards the upper half, is Man City, who sit at 17th with only 3 wins. Why does that matter? Because some of these teams with the new format are going to get a bye. They're going to get an easy way out of the playoffs. So if you're at this top 10, you're sitting pretty. Interesting enough, Brest is hanging in there at 11th. You got Atalanta at 5. So are we going to see a tail end of that, a tail end of struggles for these lower teams as they go through their schedule and play these tougher teams? We're going to see how all of those stack up throughout the Champions League group stage match. I'm Samuel Galing. We're going to get into basketball here with Charles and friends here in a second. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Grand Slam Sports. I'm Charles Foster, joined here with Evan Porterfield.
I am friends.
He is friends. So we're going to be talking about some basketball today. And first, we're going to start off by talking about one of Evan's favorite players, LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball, of course, has been kind of a fringe all-star coming into this year. So I think it's pretty interesting to talk about, is LaMelo Ball actually all-star caliber, or is he just a product of being on the Hornets?
I think he's all-star caliber. I mean, we can't. Yes, he's on the Hornets, so like obviously it's not the most stacked team. So it just takes like a slightly better player to obviously look great. But you got to remember who he's playing against. He's playing against some talent, and he's still popping off and getting 30, 40 points a game. Not only that, but he's getting 30, 40 points a game, shooting on one leg, half court, lobbing it with one hand.
Yeah.
So he's got talent. Like clearly he knows how to be crazy and just like make these awesome shots. He's great.
Absolutely. I mean, the talent's there. LaMelo Ball plays like someone that has AirPods in. I mean, he plays like he's just at the gym having fun, but good God, he is talented. I mean, we remember LeVar Ball said that he was going to be the best. He's so far turned out to be the best. I think that the talent is there, and I do think that in the Eastern Conference where All-Stars are not necessarily the name of the game, I think he will make the All-Star game. I think in the Western Conference, we would not see him anywhere near it, but in the East, I think he is one of the better point guards. He's been playing great, and the Hornets are looking the best that they have looked since I have been alive. Well, I lied. Kemba Walker, then this team. So, I mean, still, it's a low bar, but a pretty decent, best team in like probably 20 years.
Yeah.
That's improvement. And for the worst team franchise of all time, you like to see that. So definitely excited to see.
Yeah, and I mean, he's good for a reason. He plays a lot. He gets a lot of that play time. I remember I was watching, I think it was a Jimmy Fallon, it was something interview, and they're asking his papa why he would be so great, and he's just like, he just gets a lot of play time. He's always practicing.
He gets experience. He's always playing. Chino Hills, LaMelo Ball is one of my favorite eras of all time. It's just he's a fun player. We want to see him succeed. I want to see the Hornets succeed. Their jerseys are too cool to not be at least somewhat decent. So I mean, it's a team that you really want to root for, and hopefully we can root for them. Yeah. Looking onto a team that no one wants to root for except for the entirety of California and anyone that likes LeBron, looking at the Lakers, their trade deadline, obviously. The Lakers trade deadline is about 2 months ahead of everyone else because anytime the Lakers are remotely bad, they instantly start trying to trade players. This time is no different. LeBron has not been playing amazingly. He played good last night. Yeah. But looking at some of these trades, they're looking to get rid of D'Lo, Rui Hachimura, and Gabe Vincent Jr. What are you kind of thinking about those? What moves should they make? Who should they keep? What are you kind of feeling about that?
I don't know. I think it's concerning moving players in general, even if they're like mid, just because you're changing the culture and everything about the team, and doing it just because LeBron's not looking the best. It's either a good move or a bad move, and we'll kind of talk about that coming up here. But I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of indifferent about the move right now, but overall, I think I'm leaning more towards I don't really like this idea. Let's just try to keep our base and bring on a new star rather than take out 3 base players.
And here's where I'm at. I think that the biggest challenge with the Lakers is not jumping the gun. They're LA. Everyone wants to play for them. Yeah. And D'Lo, he needed to go 2 years ago. I mean, D'Lo's just not a good fit in LA. He shoots too much for a team that doesn't need that. Yeah. I think they should focus on a player like a Jordan Clarkson, a veteran that can put up 26 a game if needed. Gabe Vincent, I'm impartial to. He's fine. He exists, nothing else. Yeah. And Rui Hachimura, it's kind of 50-50. I think that they want to trade him because they see Dalton Connect as like, he's amazing. Dalton Connect is fantastic. I see Mr. Rocky Top over there. He's definitely very happy about Dalton Connect doing good. And I think the team looks good. Yeah. It's just, with Dalton Connect, you cannot be like, oh, he's good, buy everyone else. No, Rui can play the bench. He's not a star. Putting him on the bench, you're not losing much. Play him on the bench. Rui Hachimura still does his job. He puts up good numbers whenever he is playing well, and I think that will be kind of what's telling on this team. Can they be patient, or are they going to just instantly be like, oh, we suck, bye everyone, except for LeBron and AD? That's been the way it's been forever, and they need to change that culture, or no one's going to want to stay in LA.
And you bring up a good point that they can find other stars or other people that fit their team. It's not impossible. It's just a matter of, is this the right choice? Right.
Of course, and the Lakers in Lakers fashion, they don't do this whole role player thing. They only bring in stars, and anyone else, why not? Jordan Clarkson's probably a name they haven't even thought of yet, but in my opinion, one of the best pure scorers in the league that needs the team. Just bring in players like that instead of trying to go for the big fish. You can bring in the little ones and make your team better. Looking in on teams and players that are kind of, not doing too hot recently, LeBron, Harden, Curry are also struggling. Are the stars that we grew up watching, are they starting to burn out? What are you kind of feeling about that?
It's just, it's crazy because I was just like, LeBron. You got to watch some LeBron highlights and stuff sometimes. He's fantastic, but it's crazy to think that this guy was playing in the NBA before I was even alive.
Yeah.
So it comes to a point where it's like, okay, you're going to get all these injuries. They're going to stack up. You're just not going to end up playing as well as you had 22 years ago. I think some of them are starting to tone down, and you can see it. But they're still playing great. I mean, I've been watching a lot of Harden, and he's still playing good.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not who he was previously.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say if okay, well, just because they're not playing as well as they used to, should they go bye-bye?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think that we're seeing these players. LeBron's standard of excellence is insane.
Yeah.
He's 40 years old, and he's still expected to drop 25 plus a game. And I feel like that is kind of where LeBron's at. Like, he drops under 18, and everyone's like, oh my God, he's awful. So I feel like LeBron's doing exactly what we expected him when he's 40. Vince Carter at 40 was a moving piece on the team. He didn't do anything, and he's one of my favorite players of all time. Same thing with D Wade. So I mean, James Harden, obviously, he will never go back to era. James Harden was one of the best scorers of all time. The only player, in my opinion, that is truly playing to the way that they used to play, but he's been kind of hurt, is Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant has not lost a step in Phoenix. He has been fantastic, still one of the best scorers in the league, the best scorer of all time, in my opinion, and I think that he has not lost a step. But we've seen players like Curry that have kind of it's been a little bit disappointing, but it's also expected. We've seen those players retire. LeBron's probably got 1 or 2 good years left. Harden and Curry are starting to, they're starting to fade out. So I think that will be really telling.
And before we move on, I think it's also important to highlight that these players have been coaches for their team, like leaders for such a long time. And so even if they're not the top scorer like they used to be, these people are still helping support the team and giving them the right advice that they need to be successful.
Absolutely. And as we look at some all-time greats as well, we're going to talk about a little bit of drafting. We're going to draft our all-time teams. Me and Evan have never actually done this before, but we kind of want to start a new segment where we want to start drafting teams based on different themes. So what a better way to start drafting teams based on a different theme by starting all-time. Evan, you have the first pick. We're going to each make a starting 5, and we're going to see who looks like they have the best starting 5. Evan, who are you going with for your starting 5?
I wanted to throw in some plot twists, some fun ones. But I'm going to start off, and then we're going to switch over to you, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to start off here with my point guard. I'm going to go with Magic Johnson.
Magic Johnson?
A solid pick.
Yeah, I mean,
overall.
we like Magic Johnson if we're going to,
him.
point guard first. Point guard, I'm going to be going with my favorite point guard of all time, my GOAT at the point guard position. I got Stephen Curry at the point guard. Who do you got for your 2 guard? Who do you got at 2 guard?
Okay, for my shooting guard, I'm going with Kobe.
I'm gonna go with Michael Jordan. I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna take that easy MJ. I would definitely go with the MJ. You got the first small forward. If you do not say a certain name, I might jump at you.
Small forward, I'm going with Larry Bird.
I'm gonna take LeBron James.
Larry Bird is a great player.
And LeBron James is the best of all time. But power forward, who you got? That's 2 right answers. 3 right answers, maybe.
Giannis.
That was none of the 3 right answers.
Hey, he gets 40 points a game.
Giannis is him.
And
Giannis,
he's playing in modern day.
Giannis is him.
modern
I
day.
think that Giannis is definitely a good answer, but I'm going to go on that 4 side. In my opinion, the best power forward of all time, Timothy Duncan, the silent man. I think the best power forward, close to Dirk, but not Dirk, Tim Duncan. Center.
Ooh, I'm going to go with Shaquille O'Neal.
Shaquille O'Neal, I hate you. That's my favorite player of all time. So I definitely think that Shaquille O'Neal is my favorite center of all time. I think he is arguably the best, most dominant for sure. I'm going to go with my center. We're going to go with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. That's one of the best centers of all time, probably a top 5 player of all time, arguably. I think that we both have some pretty good teams. I think that I have the 2 GOATs on my team, so I think I'm going to take that one. But as we kind of look ahead, as we're about to end off this last episode, we only got one more left of the season this Friday. So very excited to see what's coming in the future. Jace will be back, hopefully, because he's always gone somewhere. And I'll be back. We'll be talking about all 4 sports that week. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm Charles Foster, joined here with Evan Porterfield. Thank you for Dylan and Sam for coming on tonight's episode.
Slay the house down.
Slay the house down, Boots. Have a good night. God bless.